Hey Siri, call Beetlejuice.
I don't see a Beetlejuice in your contacts. To who?
Beetlejuice.
I don't see a Beetlejuice in your contacts. To who?
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Here are two Beetlejuice selections.
Oh hey, didn't see you there. So I love everything about Beetlejuice. Obviously the OG movie, and then I grew up watching the cartoon when I was a kid. This is what I looked like at my bachelorette party. And of course, being a creature of the night, I love everything Tim Burton. And I have a long history, you could say, of turning porcelain dolls into my own little creepy creations, like here, and here, and here. So when I found this one doll when I was out thrifting recently, I knew exactly what she would be perfect as, and it would be Lydia in the wedding scene in Beetlejuice, and obviously I need to make a Beetlejuice to go with her, and I think it's gonna be pretty cool. So if you wanna come with me to Joann and maybe a thrift store to pick up some more stuff, let's go. Okay, so this is a doll that I found at the thrift store that set me off on the whole Lydia thing, just because she's a bride, obviously. It's a lot different from Lydia's dress because hers is primarily tulle, but I was thinking mostly about using just this dress rather than the doll, because the doll that I want to use for Beetlejuice, the proportions are just completely different. Most porcelain dolls that you're gonna find at the thrift store, they have that, like, those baby doll proportions where the head is really big compared to the body, and this one is obviously not. So I think I'm just gonna use portions of this dress and the veil to create Lydia's dress on a different doll. And that one is going to be this one, this little fairy lady. So it has the collar that Lydia's dress has, and then obviously I can construct the higher neck. And then as far as the color goes, I got that red fabric paint spray, and I'm hoping that the red will cover the purple. And then for Beetlejuice, I plan on using this cursed little lady. Obviously gonna remove the hair. I'm creating some yarn wefts, and obviously gonna be painting the face. I'll have to construct color, and then I might use this ruffled neck to have those ruffles on the front of the suit. For Lydia's hair, since this doll already has pretty straight hair and then has the bangs, which are important, I might try and, with the fabric paint again, this hair black. If that doesn't really seem to work out, I also have this black wig that I got at a thrift store that I can just remove those wefts and then hot glue them on, because there's gonna be a lot of hot glue in this project, so prepare thyself. Then obviously for Beetlejuice's suit, we got this women's suit jacket at the thrift store. I think the color's pretty good. Might try to stitch it, but we know how I feel about sewing. In the past, I've just used a lot of hot glue. It's not meant to be worn, it's just as a display piece, so using hot glue I feel like isn't really a sin in this situation. If you want to berate me in the comments about that, feel free to do so. Okay, I think it's time to get started. Let's go. So the clothes are dry, a little stiff, but I expected that because I've worked with this fabric paint before. The wig is dry, also super stiff, but I think brushing it out might help. I don't know. And then also Beetlejuice's teeth are dry, so we're gonna get started really putting everything together and trying to make the clothes. I think the pieces for the Lydia dress came out really cool. Even better than I expected, which is great news. I'm gonna have to build it from these separate parts, but I'm not gonna do that until I get it on the doll to see really where the layers are gonna lie. And this is the order that I think that I'm gonna do everything, because putting on the outfit could mess up the hair and makeup. So I'll put on the dress first, then the hair, and then the face. But then for Beetlejuice, I think I'll start by building the outfit, and then before I put it on him, no. Okay, I'll make the outfit, then put it on him, then put the hair on him, and then put the makeup on him, because I'm gonna need to paint some of the hair. First thing to do for both of them is just get the clothes figured out. So let's do that. Okay, for Lydia's outfit, it's really a matter of assembling it and adding some stuff. I'll wait and do Beetlejuice's next, because I feel like that's gonna be a bit more ambitious and involved. So start with old Lydia. Lydia? Also, I need to put her arm back on. Okay, one thing that I don't actually have yet is the high neck piece. But since her veil doesn't actually need to be this long, I'm gonna cut off a portion of the end and then use that to wrap around the neck. So anything that wasn't actually like this net fabric turned out pretty stiff. Since I kind of want to just like pose it, since it's a display piece, it's not a big deal. The one thing I am a little concerned about is the hair with Edward Scissorhands that I have somewhere back there. The stiffness actually added what I wanted to it because his hair is just kind of like all over the place. Lydia's is also a little bit all over the place, so that's kind of what I was aiming for, but this is like intensely, so I'm going to need some hot glue. It's the first appearance of what will be Minnie here. I can't find it. So I'm having to go with my really old glue gun because I couldn't find my not so old ones. I don't know. So I'm going to do my best attempt at just draping this on first. It probably would be a better idea to like stitch this on. Also getting some pretty good porcelain ASMR in this hem. And this is gonna be the back of the dress that's hidden by the veil anyway, so bit of sloppy never hurt anybody back here. And I should probably reattach her arm. Ooh, this is looking rough. And then she's also got the the monster mash, the mesh around her arms. And I'm just gonna glue it on. I mean, it's not terrible. Not great either, but it's not terrible. One arm is significantly shorter now because of how I put her arm back in. Whoops. Okay, one thing I did not anticipate was the white sticking out, so that sucks. I can probably go in with some acrylic paint and cover that. Lydia's dress is more tiered than this, so I'm gonna go in and create some tiers. I'm sure some costume makers are absolutely crying at the work that I'm doing right now. I think the dress looks pretty cool though. What do you think? For right now, I need to focus on the hair, which is gonna be a task. I think once I get it on her head, then I can style it. Okay, I'm just gonna treat it like a solid shape because it's very stuck together. I think I'm gonna go in with some Elmer's glue. Did you all used to cover your fingers in Elmer's glue in elementary school and then wait for it to dry so you could peel it off? So I don't exactly want to completely do the bangs because I need to leave room to do the face paint. Now I'm gonna do Beetlegeist. Going to rip apart this jacket to get some flat swatches of fabric. I'm kind of just like looking at patterns of doll suits on Google, and I'm going to attempt to do a suit. I think I'm gonna stitch it by hand just because I don't really trust this like crappy hot glue with this one. So I ended up sewing the entire suit on the sewing machine because I have little patience and little time, so I didn't want to sit there hand sewing it. I hand sewed the sleeves just because they wouldn't really fit on the sewing machine, but for someone with little to no garment construction experience and a very tired mom brain, this took most of my brain cells just like firing all together to try to get this to work. So, moment of truth now. Little pants. I think he might be a little thick for the waistband on these pants. But I mean, in the movie, his pants were like gaping open, so, but they're pants. I think I'm gonna open up that seam right there and then just like roll down. Also, little peekaboo. Okay, and vest. This is so ill-fitting. Damn it. I think maybe I'll take some of the stuffing out of the doll and that should help with the fit. You know, this is kind of cheating, but I could use this white body of the doll for the shirt. I don't see why not. And then I'm gonna need to either paint on or make like little buttons. I know I've reiterated this a lot, but there's some jankiness to my process, but it's a display piece, man. For the collar and the lapel, I have a couple of pieces that were like scraps that would make a good rest of the collar. And this, I decided, yeah, I am gonna leave the doll body as the shirt. It's the slimmest silhouette, but I figured what I could do to mimic the shirt is to like just take the wrist, what do you call this? Cuffs. My God, I told you I'm tired. One of my twins really didn't want to sleep last night, so I'm pretty exhausted right now. Seriously, there is nothing like sleep deprivation when you have small kids. I thought my days of, youth when I was like staying up late, going out, or even just studying was the pinnacle of how tired I could be, but no, there's no comparison. So I'm tired. So far, I've been hot gluing down the inside of the lapels. Will there be visible hot glue? Stay tuned to the end of the video, because there probably will. You know, the low temp hot glue really is the best to craft with because I have not burned myself once and I've been touching some liquidy glue. So far, making progress. It's looking a little more Austin Powers than Beetlejuice right now. Pretty decent. I think I'm done for the most part. Obviously gonna be painting on some buttons. Pretty happy with it. It's not bad. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop there today. Like I said, I'm pretty brain dead because I'm so tired right now. See you in the morning. Okay, so we're nearly there. Only a few more things. I say a few more things, but it's like a lot, kind of. What's left is to do Beetlejuice's hair, and like I said, I'm making those wefts from scratch from yarn. For the most part, this video is not really a tutorial because I do everything kind of chaotically and a little sloppy. It's more of, I don't know, entertainment or inspiration if you want to do something similar. But as far as making the hair, I am gonna try to do a little bit of a tutorial on that. And then after that, we gotta paint the faces and do a little bit of the wardrobe sprucing up. So for making the yarn wefts, you're gonna need some acrylic yarn, a pet brush, Elmer's glue, some scissors, a piece of cardboard roughly to the length of the hair that you're gonna want. I'm doing this a little bit longer than I'm gonna need just so I can have some extra. And then a piece of plastic or something that's not gonna stick to hot glue. So I'm using one of those self-healing cutting mats just because in my experience, like it's really easy to just like peel hot glue off of it, and then some hot glue. Okay, so first you're gonna take the yarn and we're going to just wrap it around the cardboard like a bunch of times. And there's no real set amount of this, I guess, just kind of like do it until you're done. I just, like in the past, I've just made like a ton of these and then whatever's left over, I mean, I can use for a future project. Oh, and another supply you're gonna need is some sort of grid. You can use like kind of garden fencing, or you can just use what I'm using right now, which is like a baking cooling sheet, just because that's what I had on hand. I'm sure you could do this just as long as you had something stable to tie the yarn on, whatever works for you. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there for now. Okay, then you gotta find the halfway point and just cut there. And then you're gonna have like a bunch of pieces of yarn of the same length. There's no real need to wrap it like this. I just think it's the easiest way to get a bunch of pieces that are the same length at the same time. And then take 3 pieces and fold it in half, and then in the loop, you're gonna take it over to your grid and then just like tie it on. And then you're gonna do that for the length of the grid or however many you're gonna do for this round. I'm gonna go ahead and make a whole bunch more of these. So I've got this whole grid set up, and then I'll show you what's next. Oh, and then an additional item you're gonna need, flat iron, hair straightener, whatever, really useful for calming down the like poofiness that you're gonna wind up with. I've got a good amount of wefts tied on. It remains to be seen if this is gonna be enough, but it's really easy to make more, so not a big deal. Okay, so you want to make sure they're tied on pretty tight and just fold in the same direction. And then basically just start brushing from the bottom because you're wanting to unravel all that yarn. It's gonna take a minute, so time lapse, go. And you're gonna lose quite a bit in the process, but I mean, you could just always save this and use it as like batting for something. And just keep brushing until you get basically an untangled tuft of the fiber. Okay, I think this section is pretty good. I'm gonna go in all these guys. So I find it really hard to do any sort of like crafting or art in just complete silence. That's why making these videos is like, it's a weird experience. But when you do see some of the little time lapses, I am listening to music or whatever. What does everyone else listen to when you're crafting? Sometimes I'm a true crime podcast person, but it's kind of frustrating to have to start and stop that with this whole filming process. But today I've been listening to a lot of Radiohead and Tame Impala and a bit of Bjork, just because Bjork feels like cold weather music to me, maybe because she's Icelandic. Also, fun fact, my husband and I went to Iceland about 6 or 7 years ago now, and we drove around the ring road of Iceland, which is like, if you ever go there, an absolute must. It's like the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. We listened to a lot of Icelandic bands while we were doing that, and honestly, it's so odd how well the music just really fits the landscape. You can tell that the musicians from there, and there's a ton. It's crazy like how musical that country is, but you can tell they're really inspired by where they're from, which if you ever go there, it's easy to see why. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. Also, this color that I got was more of like an off-white when it's spun, but it's looking a lot whiter now. Okay, so I've got a bunch of combed out wefts. I'm going to start the flat iron on the lowest setting. You just straighten it like it's normal hair. And you can also like style it, like curl it. The next step is to cut the weft at the base of the knot, and it'll kind of like spread out a little bit. So that's where you're gonna see that you're gonna have a bit more width to the little sections that you've made. And then apply like a good amount of glue. And what's great about working with Elmer's glue is that it dries so quickly. And you can go over that with a few coats. It's good to have a pretty like stiff brush to do this with, so you can really like separate those fibers and get them spread out. And as you're going, as you start getting sections that have dried, you can go back over them with an extra layer of the glue. Okay, so the wefty boys are out drying. I'm gonna go ahead and start on Lydia's face. I was thinking while I was gluing all those wefts, is Mod Podge the same thing as Elmer's glue? I have a conspiracy theory that it is, and it's just like a more expensive version of the same formula, but if I'm wrong, let me know. So Lydia's face really isn't that involved. I don't feel like I'm gonna have to do a whole lot. Well, Lydia's done. Got to work on Beetlejuice now, so I'm gonna go check to see if those wefts are dry. The wefts are completely dry, and when I ran out of space on the cutting surface, I decided to use backing paper that I had left over from a roll of vinyl. I think it works pretty well for just allowing it to peel off pretty easily, so +1 for me for recycling. Just need to peel off the wefts and then take some scissors and just basically trim it up so that it's like a straight surface. And then there you go, you have a full weft. I was actually really worried about not having enough hair made, but I think I've got plenty because Beetlejuice is kind of balding anyway, so I'm not gonna need a ton around the face. It's mostly just this section. So the way to apply a weft is just hot glue. I mean, I'm sure I could do it with a different glue, but I mean, as I've reiterated, hot glue is my best friend. Best thing to do is just like start in the direction that the hair would grow in the back. That's the way I've always done it, at least. So I'm gonna start down here where the wig on this doll already was. And just start gluing. And obviously I'm gonna have to trim this up because this is like way too long. But it's better to have more length than you actually need. And some of the wefts will just naturally kind of come apart, and that's fine. And where you want to start paying attention to the direction of the growth is what you're going to see from the front. So once you get those back pieces down, then turn it around, kind of like piece it from there. And I'm going to be doing the hairline last because there's a bit of a method to doing that. Okay, so this black is going to be showing through, and that's not ideal. I'm going to give this a quick coat of white. Okay, now I'm going to start paying attention a bit more to the way it's going to look from the front. I guess that his hairline goes back really far, so I'm probably going to be stopping like around this area. I'm going to save these two for right here. So the key for the hairline is to glue it backwards. So up until this point, I've been gluing them like that, just flat down. But when you do the hairline, you want to glue it that way and then have the hair go back. Or if you know the doll has a part, then it's going to be like that. Or that. I don't know if you can really see what I'm doing there, but basically like this, gluing it towards the face. And now the rest of it's just going to be hairline. Yeah, so where there's that little like gap between the two directions, that's where I want to do another piece just to kind of like hide that a little bit. Okay, well my close-up camera died, so that's convenient. This is what we're working with right now. I'm gonna finish that up and trim them all up. I'll see you in a second. The Ghostess with the Mostest is ready to be painted. I'm excited because it's always my favorite part, painting, so let's go. Of course, these acrylic fibers are just absolutely everywhere. When I was trimming the hair, it was just so airborne. It was absolutely ridiculous. Hot glue is like a blessing and a curse because it gets absolutely everywhere and it's hard to get off of fabric. But I did read that you can use some rubbing alcohol and it's kind of working, but like there's still remnants of hot glue and it's not great. But his suit's a little messy looking, so it works, I guess. Well, they're both done, so I guess it's showtime. So they're done. I think they turned out really cute. I'm not entirely happy with the paint job I did on Lydia because I think I took it a bit more minimal than I should have. I think the dress came out awesome. The hair is a little wonky. I did the best that I could with what I had. I think Beetlejuice looks really adorable. Something that happens with turning porcelain dolls into creepy characters is that they always end up looking kind of cute, and I love that juxtaposition of cute and creepy. So it's like right up my alley. But so yeah, that's gonna do it this week. You can follow me on Instagram right here. You can watch my previous video, another little creepy project because that's what we do here. Also, I'm entertaining the idea of doing giveaways of the things that I make over on Patreon. So if you would be interested in that at all, please leave a comment so I can figure out whether that's something that any of you want. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. I hope you come again.